For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The inner soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides. Sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Why do you think that some people just are so intolerant, do not want to accept that there will be dissenting voices in a country? And that's what makes a country democratic. That is certainly what would cause us to thrive as a people if we can coexist and not facilitate fascism. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of NewsSpin right here on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube and the NewsSpin Facebook page. In a moment, I'll be hearing from you at 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 716-2026. And Kimani will be going through some of your comments in the chat room. We are in for yet another exciting and informative as well as entertaining broadcast for today. Why do you believe that some people cannot tolerate opposing views? They cannot stand dissenting voices. The fact is, we are not all the same. Everyone in any thriving democracy cannot support a political party, one political party. You cannot have a situation where in St. Lucia, everyone will be a supporter of the United Workers' Party or a supporter of the St. Lucia Labour Party. Because I'm sure many of you will agree that none of the parties are perfect. But we must also do not allow politicians to make us believe otherwise. When they are swinging from party to party out of convenience, they are robbing you of that independent mindset. I think that tells you that you have a right to determine your destiny and the destiny of your nation. You have a right, when you deem it necessary, to criticize those who are in authority. Criticize the Prime Minister. Criticize various government ministers. Criticize the leader of the opposition. Although that criticism should not be based on just a particular dislike of an individual or political party, but it would have to be based on sound reasoning. You certainly would have to have done the research, you have done the analysis, you have made certain observations, and it's on that basis that you'll be making some critical decisions, as opposed to acting on the basis that what is right for you is automatically right for the state, acting on convenience, and also just being emotional about things. I could tell you that politicians, very calculated, they determine when they will be a part of this party or that party, when to give the impression that they are independent, and all of a sudden, at the last moment, they are part of a government of one party or the other, that they did not contest an elections on their behalf. Let us try to be as astute as possible. But one thing we must never allow to hold sway in St. Lucia is this idea that if you are critical of the policies of a government or critical of politicians, that automatically should be described as an enemy of the state. We ought to read into that. What makes you an enemy of the state? Because you're criticizing a government and you believe that the government has not stood for what it clearly demonstrated whilst in opposition. You believe that the government has failed you when it comes to bread and butter issues. You believe that the government has failed you when it comes to ensuring your security as a citizen. Does that make you an enemy of the state? If you have been criticizing Philip J. Pierre, that doesn't make you automatically makes you an enemy of the state. If you criticize Alan Chasney as the Prime Minister, does that make you an enemy of the state? If we are not careful, very soon, under the guise of protecting our national security, certain laws will be enacted in St. Lucia because the government has the majority, so that they could keep certain people quiet, so that they could keep dissenting voices in check, so that they could muzzle the media, or what's left of the media in St. Lucia, prevent opposition forces from speaking their mind and asking questions of the government. That's fascism. That is deciding that this guy, you describe this guy as a dissident, this organization as an enemy of the state, and therefore they have lost the right to take certain actions, the right to demonstrate, the right to call a talk show, the right to be a talk show host who is critical of the government of the day. I think the time has come when probably the electors in St. Lucia should decide not to ever, in the history of the country, give a government a mandate of 15-2. 11-7 for the most, to keep them in check, because somehow power gets to the head of our politicians. The fact that you have a 15-2 mandate, what it says to you is that the people have entrusted you with the power to govern. And therefore they expect you to use and exercise that power wisely and not to abuse it. The most powerful man in the world is the President of the United States. How do you think that he should wield that power? Although U.S. presidents, from time to time, they would abuse that power. But I don't think that abuse can be considered to be excessive, because In the U.S., you have various checks and balances. In the case of St. Lucia, you have checks and balances. But those are powerless. They exist only in name. Your Integrity Commission, you have various laws, you have a DPP, you have you have various institutions that should be keeping watch over the actions of government and government ministers. You have a Public Service Commission, etc., etc. You have the Police Commissioner. But they are all interwoven into each other, and they are afraid to exercise the power that has been given or entrusted, that they have been entrusted with. And so let us be on guard. Let us pay attention to what is being said. And when people use terminologies like enemies of the state, that should cause us to be on the alert and to be as astute as possible to keep watch over our governments and to continue to monitor the next move. That enemies of the state statement was made yesterday by Government Minister and Castries Central MP Richard Frederick.
When persons tell you that they love their country, they love St. Lucia, but yet they deliberately take to the airwaves, they take to social media or other fora of information dissemination, criticizing what is obviously a progressive move beneficial to the country and its citizens, they do not love their country. They can be labeled, and I dare say, enemies of the state.
So if you're critical of the government, automatically an enemy of the state, and you do not love your country. Fascism, guard against this. And it means a governmental system led by a dictator having complete power, forcibly suppressing opposition and criticism, regimenting all industry, commerce, etc., and emphasizing an aggressive nationalism and often racism. We open the lines right now to take your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages at 716-2026, at 716-2026, and of course, we'll be going through some of your comments in the chat room momentarily. So stand by. Ask Emmanuel will be going through those comments that she deem worthwhile sharing with you. And our NewsSpin question of the day: why are critics of the PJP government described as enemies of the state? I'll be going through some of your responses in just a moment. But let's take our first call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Timothy.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
I tried desperately to call you yesterday, but boy, I couldn't look. I had the last number in the world.
So many people are
Timothy,
singing the same tune these days.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon to Kimani as well.
Hi,
Timothy, when I listen to Richard, hi dear. When I listen to Richard Frederick, I think he's only talking about himself, When you listen to him carefully, because he had the right to criticize for 9.5 years against Alan Chastney. So what nonsense is he talking about now? Are you with me?
I'm listening to you, caller.
Yes, he had the right, and you still have the right to get on TV and criticize anybody. But he wants to take that away from anybody, calling them they do not love St. Lucia. Right? So if he has the power, and the power is in his hands now. When the other governments are in there, he was criticizing for 9.5 years. What does he have to say about himself? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. 452-2979, we have a call in line. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello, good afternoon.
What's up?
Good afternoon to you, caller. Go ahead, please, with your contribution.
Yeah, I was away for about 1 week on a little vacation, and I was using hotspot from somebody's phone, and I never thought that I could have missed the program so much, because it was kind of in and out and in and out and stuff like that, But anyway, you know.
Well, NewsSpin is
I just-
addictive, eh?
Yeah, I realize.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think you're there like you almost, what would I say? How would I use it? You're almost from heaven, man, with your
Yeah.
speech and everything else.
Here's what we try to do. We try to run the country between 12:30 and 2 o'clock every day. Now it's not any kind of revolution, eh? We're just taking over the country at 12:30 to 2. Trying to effect change.
You only have an hour and a half.
Yeah, to try and effect change.
Yeah, but that is so great, you know. And then, you know, when we do the little comparison, I don't know whether you SLP, whether you FLAP, but of course you put pressure on the government, and I think that is part of your job to do so. I mean, somebody has to do it. Because if Alan Fastney alone can't do it as one, and that guy from Strozel, I wouldn't say, but he doesn't weigh enough on putting that pressure. You know, so it takes somebody else to do it. And you mentioned about all the different entities that would have the power, but still they're weak because, you know, you want to be afraid of shutting you down, losing your job, losing your position and all of it. You know, there is so much I want to say still, you know, based on the road and crime and so many other things going on in this country. And I was in Matnik just there. I just put up a business Airbnb apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing some, I had some flyers and some business cards, you know, trying and sell out my business one way or the other.
Right.
While they call me tourism. And in tourism, village tourism, as they say, because that place is located, I don't want to say, but somewhere close to Castries. And, you know, a lot of people in Matnik would mention one of the first things is, you know, the level of crime in St. Lucia that the government, I'm not saying the government can stop crime, but you put things in place to help cushion the situation. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So if everything is loose, then you find all those rude boys and whatever guys. For instance, you had what was going on in Viewfort. You know, you could have seen clearly that the government couldn't do, or the hands were tied. They have the SSU, they have the Black Squad, there is the, and I mean, there's so many different level of people working in the police force, and they couldn't do it, and they had to get some people from, what is it, SS, from the OECS there.
The RSS.
RSS, right, to come and put a helping hand to. And that shows clearly that, you know, we do not have what it takes. And maybe whoever is in charge of putting the things in place to make those things happen, it's not happening. You know, so you kind of giving those type of persons leeway as in to do more things or how they want, and they can almost do as they please. You know, these things are really not nice. And going back to what I was just saying again, you know, it's doing the village tourism, it comes with good security. Since you're getting the little bad name, that doesn't mean crime doesn't go in Matnik and other countries. But the way it is so just let go of, you know, it is just so difficult, you know, to handle certain things. You know, that's my take on those things, you know. So the village tourism, you'll invest thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to put things in place to try an Airbnb business and those, but yet you do not have, and I would hear Ile would talk about, what's his name? Tourism guy there.
Dr. Ernest Hilaire, the minister?
Yeah, the Minister for Tourism.
Yeah, Dr. Ernest Hilaire.
Yeah, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, sorry. We would talk about village tourism to try and promote or to have people to push themselves into those businesses, which is a good thing. But then what is left for us is too much of the hotel getting all of it. And let's say, speak in general, the north, because it is difficult to do something, let's say, in like Southeast Castries, and persons know that they're not in the north. Like kind of in the north, a little more safer for those people coming from abroad than you do the village tourism, like maybe Ansbury, the Lacor, Badney, on the Mon, and those little places. You know, it is just so difficult. I did a bit of marketing. I had a good few talks with some people. I got both negative and positive response, you know, which, you know, bring you at a certain level. I mean, I worked hotel for a couple of years. I worked Sundays for a couple of years, and I think that worked for me to give me the experience, because I was attached to the front desk department, which I would know how to do a little marketing a bit, you know, so I did that on my own and stuff like that. But, you know, overall, I just want to say, you know, keep up the good works and do what you do best.
All right, sir.
And like I would hear some people would say, don't be biased.
Thank you so much for calling. All right. Thank you so much for calling, sir, and all the best with your project. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 7162026. What is in the chat room, Kimani?
Someone says, NewsSpin addictive? Debatable. It provides the affected a place for people to voice their opinions, so it's therapeutic. It also provides the hacks a place that enables them to highlight their support so they can obtain favors. Example, Azzy and Shazi. They provided the blueprint. Someone says, Tim, politics is about the people. RF understands the people and will continue to speak their language in spite of all the critics. Another comment in the chat room, enemy of the state, does that mean that one has committed treason? If so, should there be a trial? And if so, what is the sentence? Someone says, we are not enemies of the state, we are enemies of your shit. Another comment, exactly, Tim, hence the reason we should respect each other's opinion, even if we disagree with what the person says. Tim, supporting a party is one thing, but supporting evil is another. Someone commented saying, we as the electorate ought to be much more discerning. We ought to use sound reasoning and not allow ourselves to be hoodwinked. Another comment, Tim, checks and balances of political convenience. That is it.
I think we have a call on the line via WhatsApp as we say hello. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air, caller. Hello.
Hi there, Tim. This is Dominic Fede. Thank you for taking my call.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr.
Tim,
Fede.
Yes, I just want to take this opportunity to invite your listeners on Facebook and on radio to a very important national town hall meeting that the United Workers' Party is having on Sunday, August 27th. We're starting from 4 p.m. Now, we have a long list of speakers because there are so many issues that we have to deal with at this meeting. Because when we look at this country, Tim, you will agree with me that it is among the worst it has been in history. We look at the cost of living and how people are dealing with that. This government has clearly let down the people of this country on the management of the inflation crisis. They continue to give excuses to suggest that there's nothing that they could do. But Tim, we don't buy that. Look at what other countries have done. They have been so creative in ensuring that they ease the burden on the people of the country on issues pertaining to cost of living. So countries have reduced duties, they have reduced taxes on imports, and the government of St. Lucia, they have the same choices, really. They can do the very same, but they are more concerned about protecting their victory rather than protecting all of us from the weight of the cost of living crisis, which is affecting our country. We see that bread has gone up. We see that cooking gas, petrol, electricity has gone up by 30%, suggested the Social Economic Review. So, and now the latest one, Tim, I've just come from walking through Castries, and you have a whole host of frustration from the general public as people are dealing with school books. And what it brought back to my mind is that the United Workers' Party administration, of which I'm very happy to have been a part, really had a plan to deal with that. And that was the implementation of the e-books. And it is very, very sad that the government has abandoned the e-books and they have now allowed the prices of school supplies to afflict the people of St. Lucia in a manner that it has. And it shows you that the Labour Party is not concerned about governing and doing the right thing. They are more concerned about being politically right. And so this is really, really sad. I mean, there are a lot of the number of requests that we have received from families that are just reaching out for help at this very, very crucial time has gone up significantly. I've never seen that amount of requests coming from various communities. So there are a range of issues that we're going to deal with at this meeting. The government's failure on the management of healthcare, the government's broken promises. Up to now, Tim, you remember the famous 1,500 that they promised us? that has not materialized. They have said that they would increase the tax threshold by 4,000. So those of us who are making 4,000 a month wouldn't have to pay any taxes. They haven't done so. So a range of issues, the 2.5% tax, which is a tremendous mistake, very misguided on their part. And so I want to send a very special invitation to your listeners to come out and to really support this meeting in a very powerful way. We have our political leader will be headlining among a host of speakers from youth and from experience. And it's going to be a very exciting meeting, which will be live on Facebook and live on television. Sorry for mentioning the name on your competing station, but UVTV will be carrying the meeting live.
All right, accepted invoice, okay? Expected bill.
Well, thank you very, very much. We hope it's going to be a concessionary rate.
We'll work on that. It will be minus 2.5%.
Minus 2.5.
Yeah.
Well, no, the tax is actually on services, Tim. So I would imagine that media services haven't been exempted. So I think I would have to pay that 2.5% on radio ads now, for example. Which would make advertising more expensive. Think of the small businesses and the number of small businesses that I hear advertising on Power FM on a daily basis. And think of how this is going to have a severe implication on them. It's really, really shameful.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Just heard there from the Deputy Political Leader of the Opposition United Workers' Party, Mr. Dominic Fady. Some of your calls. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, team.
Hi, good afternoon. One United Workers' Party official to another one. Miss Nancy Charles, good afternoon to you.
I was about to say, this is just a coincidence in terms of Senator Fede being able to get the line just before me. So.
Officials of the St. Lucia Labour Party, officials of the government, you can also call NewsSpin. Okay, we have an open door policy. Call us at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Go ahead, Mrs. Charles.
Tim, I was calling just to perhaps ask you. It's been a while I haven't heard from your friend Shazi and Azzy. Do you know where they are?
Well, I could tell you that Shazi is over in Martinique. As for Azzy, I don't know his whereabouts. And NewsSpin also been making reference to a Razi. I don't know who is Razi.
Okay, and Mr. Bailey. Well, interestingly enough, Tim, I think somebody said NewsSpin is addictive and there was a question mark. I have to say it is addictive. And unfortunately, I have not been doing my due diligence in ensuring I listen to the other talk shows. So for the last couple of days, there's a particular radio talk show that happens on a morning. It used to be very popular. And for some reason, I was just tuning in and I heard my friend Shazi calling. And then afterwards, I heard Azzy. And then I heard Mr. Bailey, and I said, interesting. And then I listened another day, which was yesterday, and they were on it. And I said, oh, okay. So apparently, their lies and propaganda, or their untruths, I know you don't like to say lies, their untruths and propaganda have been refuted.
Let's call it terminological inexactitudes.
Oh, my God.
but we'll explain in just a moment, but continue.
It is being rebuffed and refuted on NewsSpin, and so they've transitioned. So I just wanted to send a nice message to them to let them know that I will be listening, and I will be calling that other competitors' talk show in the morning, and I will be refuting whenever they speak anything that is untrue, because I listened to quite a few things. I did try calling, to be fair, but I didn't get the line. But I will get the line. But, Tim, I wanted to call you because there's something I really want to refute and explain to our callers and to St. Lucians. I got a call indicating that my favorite minister talk show host again was spewing untruths with reference to Guy Joseph, and I don't know if you recall when Guy Joseph had made the statement about the Taiwanese fund and the projects under the CDP, and where, quote unquote, he said he had to lie to the Taiwanese. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So they have been using that. I think the opposition of the United Workers' Party, which is the St. Lucia Labour Party, has been using that to more or less say that Guy Joseph had admitted to lying to the Taiwanese. And I thought maybe now that we're calm and everybody's listening in a place where they can hear, to listen, to understand, to perhaps give a brief explanation, because I don't want to take your show too long on your show, to give a brief explanation of what transpired. When we came into government in 2016, on the eve of election, the then Labour Party administration gave millions of dollars worth of contracts, small contracts, to persons all around the island. And of course, one would guess that these were contracts given to ensure that persons would vote for them, and these were given under the CDP. Now, the way the CDP works is that the government, any government, you would have to prepare your project proposal, say these are the projects that we intend to undertake, whether it be small, big, large, this is the amount. You have discussions with the Taiwanese because they are the ones funding it. They will send the information back to Taipei, get the necessary approvals, and say, okay, the funding has been approved, the money is available, so you can go ahead and execute your project. So you have to make sure that the funding is secured, approved by the Taiwanese before you execute the project. Unfortunately, because the Labour Party was so desperate, and I can tell you, I saw contracts that were given in Beaufort North, the constituency I am from, 2 days before the election. So nobody can tell me that these were not election projects. And you had it island-wide where persons were given those projects. What had happened is that the CDP director at the time gave letters of undertaking or letters of guarantee to those small contractors. They took them to financial institutions. There was Bank of St. Lucia, Axel Finance, Advanced Caribbean, all these institutions. They took them, and some of them got funding from those institutions. They got small loans, interest at whatever rate. They gave them loans so they could go ahead and execute some of those projects. But when we came into office and they presented their projects for payment, there was no money at the Ministry of Economic Development to pay those projects, and it was said that these were supposed to be paid on the CDP. So after discussions with the Taiwanese, when we came in explaining to the Taiwanese what transpired, that we inherited those projects, they were given on the CDP. Some of them were already executed. Some persons have taken loans and they needed to be paid. The agreement was that the government of the day, which would have been under the under Guy Joseph was the minister at the time, had to write to the Taiwanese indicating that we intended to undertake those projects. These are the projects. This is how much money we need, etc. To get Taipei to approve the funding so that we could have paid those contractors. But the fact is, those projects were already executed by a previous administration. Hence the reason Guy Joseph indicated that he had to lie, because essentially it wasn't the truth. He had to say to them that we intend to execute those projects to get the funding, but those projects were already executed to ensure we could have paid contractors their money. So I wanted to explain that so that St. Lucians can clearly understand that when my friend minister comes on his talk show and make it seem that Guy Joseph lied and Guy Joseph is this and Guy Joseph is that, Guy Joseph essentially was covering up for the previous Labour administration to ensure that the reputation of St. Lucia stayed well with the Taiwanese, and also to ensure those contractors get paid. Because you remember, Tim, those contractors were on television, on radio, they ganged up at the ministry. Do you remember that?
Yes, I can recall,
They
yes.
in line protesting for their money. They want their money. Give us our money. Because they thought that there was money.
A particular friend of mine comes to mind.
Yes, yes, your child's friend. He had my surname.
You could read minds now.
I remember them. I know all of them, you know, Tim. I know all of them. That's why when I try to call your program, I don't call your program to give any story. I don't call your program with any lies. I call your program with facts. I call your program with information so that anybody listening can clearly understand what transpired. So I just wanted to make it clear so that when my minister tries that again, I want St. Lucian callers to call him and let him know we know what happened. What you're saying there is just spinning. This is not true. This is what transpired. And I don't know if you remember something, somebody reminded me today, belated guarantee under Kenny Anthony, where when you need to finance a project, you need to get a guarantee from Parliament first. Parliament first have to give you approval to borrow money. So let's take the case of that money with the Saudis. Everybody seems to think that we have the money until the Minister of Finance, Philip J. goes to Parliament to get the approval of Parliament to actually borrow that $200 million. They cannot and should not have a drawdown on that loan because the country essentially, or Parliament, which is the legal authority that gives the government the authority to borrow, has not given them that authority. So if the Minister of Economic Development, which is Philip J. or the Minister of Finance, or the Ministry of Finance get 1 cent from Saudi Arabia before going to Parliament, this is illegal, it is criminal, and it is wrong. They have to go to Parliament first, and that's what they have done before. Kenny Anthony did it, we inherited it, and look, another Labour Party administration is in office. I hope they don't do it because that's the habit of the Labour Party. But I just thought I would clarify that. And I'm saying to our friends, our mutual friends, Shazi, Ozzy, and Mr. Bailey, I will be listening to that other talk show and I will be coming for you all whenever you all speak untruth so that we can ensure the St. Lucian public can make up their mind based on facts and information, not lies and propaganda. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You just heard there from Mrs. Nancy Charles of the opposition UWP. Still to come, 20 years after his death, a well-known St. Lucian politician, his words are echoing and proving quite relevant at this point in time, particularly against the background of what poor St. Lucians are going through, the high cost of living, high prices at our supermarkets, and seemingly well-to-do individuals, they are turning a deaf ear to this. You are watching NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page. We are also on YouTube, and you're listening on Power 97.9 FM.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
There is only one option when they arrive. Our services will make the dead look alive. With Bouteille and Beaufort accessibility. Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus take charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
Lucilec kaveti ou pour point précaution durant saison cyclone Salah. Mi an ti commission qui kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Kouye Lucilec avant ou trim et ben couper pied bois qui poué ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout d'outil ou ka servi pas vini moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben outils qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wall côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors Lucilec.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Sadhu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
Automotive art is a place to start.
Automotive art is now bigger and better with bargains galore. Automotive art has expanded. With new exciting products and increased shopping comfort, we welcome you to visit. Celebrate with us and take advantage of our specials. New tires starting at $129, 25% off all tools and accessories, up to 75% off rims, BOGO specials, car care bundles, and other bargains galore. Automotive art, bigger and better.
Enjoy their wealth, their affluence, or their greater luxury, or their greater leisure. They must ensure that the masses of the people are satisfied and enjoy their basic needs. You cannot enjoy affluence when you're surrounded by indigence and want. You cannot sleep at nights if the people who work for you are hungry and dissatisfied and restless. So if you want to sleep at nights, you must concern yourself with the lot of the ordinary man. This is a simple doctrine. As simple as it is, a lot of privileged people cannot see that simple point. As simple as it is, the ordinary man can understand it more than the man at one remove in a higher income bracket. That is why all around us we see opportunism, men falling prey to money, position, and bribes. This is part of the system that we are fighting. Brothers and sisters, when we are sucked in by this, we are no more. We are no more. The new breed of men must rise above this type of opportunism. They must dedicate themselves with sacrifice and firm commitment to the struggle of the people at large. Brothers and sisters, in St. Lucia today, we are just about to come out of the most intensive and revealing type of struggle that a Caribbean country has had in recent months. It is to your eternal credit that you have handled this struggle with such patience and political maturity.
The cost of living that they always make a big fuss about, the price of everything going up, and what the government is doing, all of them, short and tall, what the government is doing, how can we reduce, why is the cost why the cost of goods going up? And and they get personal and do all kind of things.
Now, I suspect I might have done a disservice there to the late George Odlum. Right after George Odlum, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre. But before you heard from a politician who had a conscience, a politician who cared about the people, and he manifested that in his actions. He manifested that in not, being after power. He manifested that by not coming across as an individual who did not care about his fellow man. And that is George Odlum, who passed away on the 28th of September, some 20 years ago. And definitely we miss him. The contribution that you heard there would have been made more than 2 decades ago, but quite apt in the year 2023. Against the background of politicians right now who just care about themselves, and it's all about the power, putting themselves first. Let's take your calls, 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. I think we have a call in line. Good afternoon, you are on the air.
Timothy, a pleasant good afternoon to you and your listeners all over the world.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
On the line, Timothy. Please allow me to do my presentation for this afternoon.
I will allow you as I normally do. If I need to interject or curtail your contribution, I will do it. That's what I'm there for. Go ahead.
Okay. Timothy, in the history of this country, I have never seen a country where politicians have used the judicial system, the health services, and other government and local institutions as a tool to their political ends, to manipulate the people of this country. These institutions, Timothy, have become a weapon, and the politicians have used it as a weapon against the people of this country. You remember when a certain MP said that when I was in opposition, I couldn't do anything. But now I am in government, I will use all tools available to me to get justice, to go after the people that came after me. Timothy, we are not going to allow this government, to hold the people of this country as hostages. We are at a warring times, Timothy, in our history. And I don't want to underplay, the fight for freedom of speech in this country. The challenges we face in St. Lucia, Timothy, is enormous. St. Lucians have to wake up. This government doesn't have our best interest at heart. With all these hotels going up, it's nice to see, Timothy, but what is the government investing in our human resource development? Are they investing in the human resource development of this country? Very little, Timothy. As you know, low wages, the labor laws are inactive, and the court system take a long time to deliver justice. We need to wake up in this country, Timothy. Some people in this country continue to oppress the people, of this country, and to perpetuate the cycle of poverty in this country, and the over-dependent of politicians, the over-dependent on citizens of this country by handout of politicians must stop, Timothy. I therefore say, whoever considers us as enemy of the state, should we now consider them as public enemy number one? Timothy, I thank you.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Kimani, what is in the chat room, ma'am?
Someone says, I wish St. Lucians would be told the truth by any and everyone, particularly leaders and other prominent people who comment over social media. I believe the public would be better informed about what's happening in their island and make better decisions. Someone says, why do you feel that you need to do that, Tim? So officials in the government and the SLP don't know that they are free to call the program as well? Kill it. Another comment in the chat room, someone says, Brother George is gone, but his words live on. Another comment, Tim, play the whole statement the Prime Minister made. Another comment in the chat room, someone says, should I conclude that while they were in opposition that they were enemies of the state? Someone says, I'd rather be an enemy of the state than a placated follower of SLP. Let's make it clear governments do not build hotels. And finally, we are all elephants in a circus. We have the ability to break free. However, we have been trained to obey our masters. That's it, Timothy.
Thank you so much. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. I think we have a call online. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, team. Good afternoon, Kimani, and good afternoon to all viewers or listeners.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Team, I will be very short. Team, I heard people complaining about the road from Cul-de-sac to Soufre. I couldn't say anything about that, team, because I had no idea how it was. But yesterday, I traveled to Soufre, and team, it is unbelievable. Between Ancillary and Anslavedi, when you pass there, there's a bridge during the time of the Labour Party they built so the water can pass over it instead of passing underneath. That's when you leave Ancillary going towards Soufre. I don't know if you know that bridge.
Yes, I know.
Instead of the water passing underneath, the water passing over. Tim, in going up that road where they have all the rocks on the right-hand side after the bridge, I actually counted 3 bags that they put into some holes that are on the road. 3 bags. I don't know if it's sand or ready mix or whatever that is in it, but the holes are so deep that they put some bags in. I remember in the days of Chasney, the road was not that bad, and the Labour Party came with that thing saying people don't eat roads. But the roads are eating our pocket. The roads are eating us. The same minibus drivers that used to make all that noise traveling on the road, how many times per day they had a problem? I want to ask those minibus drivers, are they in hiding? And why are they not complaining about the roads now? Team, I was on the road yesterday, like I said. I went down and I came back up, and the road is just pabo. Because if you don't, suspension parts are very expensive, Tim. And if you're not minding your business, which a lot of St. Lucians don't mind their business when they're driving, a lot, including me sometimes. You get something that distracts you, you just get your eyes off the road, juke money down too. I want to ask the minibus drivers in particular, what happened to them right now that they're not saying anything about the road? Are they in hiding or they take Mumu tablet? Good afternoon, team, and have a blessed weekend.
Thank you so much. Same to you as well. I think what's happening now is that the representatives of the minibus drivers, they are the ones who are calling a NewsSpin to complain on behalf of their members. But those complaints, I dare say, seem to be falling on deaf ears because there has not been any kind of serious effort on the part of the government and the Ministry of Infrastructure to deal with that problem. We have a call via WhatsApp. This is NewsSpin. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Timothy. How are you?
I'm okay, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Interesting comment by Richard Frederick, enemies of the state. I think he's echoing, I guess maybe that's the campaign or the kind of rhetoric they're trying to push about people who are dissenters, political dissenters. I think it's unfortunate that, again, our culture, our arts, even sports and other things in society are being hijacked by the political elite. Richard Frederick at an emancipation event on the unveiling of this mural, art, culture, makes it political. That's the danger we're in right now. Everything is becoming political, that at the very conversation that they're having, where it should be about the art, about culture, about emancipation, we have Richard Frederick, somebody who could be called enemy of the state, is talking about people who are political dissenters, and basically is trying to stifle and silence dissenters, because if he thinks people are not going to talk about what they are doing wrong, he has to think better, because he is sitting in cabinet by the good graces of the St. Lucia Labour Party. He's in cabinet not as a St. Lucia Labour Party candidate, not as a UWP candidate, but as an independent. And they allowed him to sit in that cabinet, unfortunately, without really making it clear to the people of St. Lucia where his allegiance lies. And it lies only within what Richard wants for himself. And again, He's no longer on his show releasing private documents, or he got this release. He's sitting in cabinet. His mouth is silent because he's holding on to information for when it suits him. So who is more than an enemy of the state than Richard? Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let me see if I can go through some of your comments extracted from the NewsSpin Facebook page. We are trying to get some of the comments that you have provided regarding our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day. And that question is, why are critics of the PJP government described as enemies of the state? We'll try to go through as many of those comments in just a moment, so just please bear with me. As somebody says there, who is being described as an enemy of the state? Somebody is asking that question in response to our own question that we have on the NewsSpin Facebook page. Another person says, Richard is the enemy of the state. Another person comments, I prefer to be an enemy of the state than be a placated follower. Another one says, because UWP don't want to see the state prosper just because PJP kicked those individuals out of office. They are mad. Okay. All right. So that will be it as far as your responses. Let's see if we get a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello. Good afternoon.
3 times journalist of the year. Timothy Poleon, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon.
My Bernardale and Conway people, good afternoon. Tim, Richard Frederick got a damn shame. First of all, he's keeping my city, my home village, my city, Castries, dirty and stink. Okay? The former mayor, Peterson Francis, and this council, Sweet Juice, used to do a great job, everything like a spick and spine.
No, explain what you said. No, what you said, the mayor and his council?
No, I said,
the mayor.
I didn't say that.
No, that's what you said.
I said Sweet Juice.
No, you said the mayor and his council, Sweet Juice. But that's what you said.
Let me continue, man. Those guys were walking around. I was very proud of the mayor and Sweet Juice. They were doing a fantastic job, a fabulous job. Now the man got Castries like a slum. You know what I'm saying to you? And you know what I'm saying? The place like a slum, Tim. Not a ghetto, a slum. And he got the audacity to talk. And he's talking about people's enemy of the state. Well, book Ernest Hilaire for treason when he said it was planned in St. Lucia, when he went to Dominica and talk his nonsense. Book Ernest Hilaire and himself. Put the two of them in the same cage. But let me continue. Tim, I hear people calling and talking about crime rise all over the world. Tim, there's 65 murders in St. Lucia right now, as far as I know.
No. The officially it's about 54 or 55.
Tim, it's been on that number for about a month now.
No, about 54 or 55 officially.
And the radio stations don't give you the count. They only tell you somebody get murdered. They don't give you the count. And if somebody shoot you or stab you and you go to the hospital and you don't die, but you die a day or two later, I was told they don't call you as a murder victim. Let me continue. In Bermuda, okay, you said it's 55?
About 54, 55, yes. About that, yeah.
Okay, in Bermuda, in 20 years, you know when murders there's 22 murders in 20 years. 22. 2. Okay? In Bermuda, you don't have no doctors tell you, go to the pharmacy and buy your medication like what they do in St. Lucia. Okay? Lady. In Bermuda, nobody tells you the road, fix the road yourself, all kind of nonsense.
But we have twice the population, about 3 times the population of Bermuda. Bermuda is what? 63,000 people in 2021. So let's imagine there are about 65,000 people in 2023. We're about 180,000.
Tim, do you know what's the area of Bermuda?
The area?
Yeah.
What's the size of Bermuda?
21 square miles, 66,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying to you,
if
Bermuda had
just below 20 square miles. All right. So therefore, it is smaller because you're likely to police it a lot. No. You're
Bermuda
not.
Has more people.
You're likely to police it better.
Bermuda has more people per capita than most countries in the world.
But if you're just 21 square miles, it is easier to police that territory than 238 square miles.
What's wrong with the SFP? You're defending SFP, eh?
That's nothing to do.
SFP are losers.
Mr. Bermuda has nothing to do with SLP. You're talking about a country which is about 21 square miles, a lot smaller than St. Lucia. Population, 60-something thousand.
Tim, what do you have to say about doctors sending you to the pharmacy to get your own medication?
Unacceptable.
What are you saying about no electricity in hospitals and no water and no toilet paper?
Intolerable, sir.
All that goes on under SLP. What do you say about St. Jude's flooding? Nurses walking in water, doctors walking in water. What are you saying about one doctor to treat the whole South? Putting people first. So what people talking about? These guys just gotta come out, get out of there. These guys ain't got a clue what's going on. What do you say about 2.5%? But the Malawi say, it's good, man, it's good, man. They don't let die, but it's good. The taxi drivers, not a tourist boat in 6 months. And the taxi drivers didn't say the word, not $1 they ain't making. When the great man was there, Tim, I got something to tell you about you. You would be a motley. But I guess you're your favorite prime minister. I tell you, she got message. Tim, what you don't know, she was looking good when the great man was there with her, because she and the great man was friends. And I can tell you this on the air. I can tell you some things I can tell you off there. Off there, I can tell you that. I know things that you don't know. Okay? Because I have my spies / soothsayers all over in Barbados, everywhere. Okay? And the great man, Timothy, you make me forget my train of thought, you know. You take me off the game. I think you do that on purpose. I think you do that on purpose.
I think he's suffering with dementia. That's all.
No, but I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't smoke. But the main thing I call you to tell you, I can't remember.
Okay.
God.
Let's save it for next week.
I got a call.
Thank you so much.
Next week.
If you remember, you could always call back.
Okay.
All right.
Call back. You don't take my calls. You don't take my calls, because you know that too.
You can always call back, Mr. Bermuda.
You don't take my calls.
On this occasion, I'll take your call.
And those guys, you don't like that.
I will take your call. Okay.
You want to tell you, but forget. You make me say train of thought, man. You take me off the game, man. Oh, later, man.
Okay. Thank you so much. What's in the chat room, Kimani?
That was a very interesting exchange, Mr. Bermuda. Someone says, Mr. Bermuda seems to be a very happy person in general. Another comment, putting the people first means that you think of their health and well-being. Why doesn't he invest in proper equipment? For example, radiation therapy for patients with cancer. Someone says, Tim, Mr. B have you using Google. Still you want to doubt him. It's time you accept Mr. B has the facts, whether you like his delivery or not. Someone says, Tim, in 20 years, 25 murders, that's great. Tim, with that logic, we on the small island should have a low crime rate and police should solve all of them because we are so small. Another comment in the chat room, Tim, officially it's 56. referring to the homicide in the country. Another comment, someone says, let me see, enemies of the state is not an interesting label. It is an offensive statement. And another comment, it's all well and good to have the hotels, but hope the rooms will be full. Someone says in the chat room, this guy was the enemy of St. Lucia for the past 11 years, hence why the country is in this mess, with the government of his choice today. Under his government, poverty on the rise, high inflation and taxes, no health care, roads networks is a disaster, judiciary corrupt, national security corrupt. He is the number one enemy of the state, in my opinion. That's it.
Somebody also says, I think it's the politicians who are the enemies of the state. They always put themselves before country. Still to come, explaining terminological inexactitude. As you are watching NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page, we are also on YouTube, and you're listening to the broadcast on Power 97.9 FM.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbute at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Introducing the new LuSelect Virtual Service Desk, where one click is your access to every service. From My Account to Streetlight reports, requests for payment arrangements to settle arrears, change of name and address. Easy online forms give you access from anywhere and at any time. Every service you need at your fingertips. Go to our website, luselect.com, and click on the Virtual Service Desk widget. LuSelect's Virtual Service Desk. Every solution at your fingertips.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Why pay full price for your mobile when you can pay half? Just bundle your home internet and mobile services with Flow and save 50% on your mobile bill. That's money in your pocket every month. Plus, now you get free YouTube and WhatsApp data. And you can share your plan with up to 3 other numbers. Upgrade now and get a free smartphone. Switch and keep your number. Learn more at discoverflow.co.
Get ready for the second annual Zouk a Blanc, presented to you by Project Chocolat, Saturday 30th September from 7 p.m. featuring St. Lucia's #1 band, DYP. The always exciting Ezra, the Fun Machine, and our finest DJ, Hollywood HP, and DJ Shocking. Savor an evening of elegance, souk, and old school rhythms in the heart of Soufrière at Project Chocolat. Secure your tickets for just $80. Grab yours at any sell outlets island-wide or at Mambo's Bar in Soufrière. Tickets are also available online. Zouk a Blanc, a touch of white, where island vibes and cuisine meets pure sophistication.
Admission $100 at the door.
The new home of the best country music is Power 97.9 FM.
Say the stars are bound to fade.
Switch us on Join Me, DJ Jerry, this and every Thursday from 8 p.m. till midnight for Country Gold, the best in country music.
Your bags are packed and waiting.
The new, the oldies, and the goldies. So let's make it a date. This and every Thursday with me, DJ Jerry, from 8 p.m. till midnight for Country Gold. If it's Thursday, it's Country Gold Thursday. Country Gold, only on Power 97.9 FM.
I lead a rich, rewarding life.
Automotive art place to start.
Yeah, look, check. We got a wide range of products that are automotive and do-it-yourself supplies if you got a moment. Smart staff that'll always know it. Got rims and tires from trucks to high performance to off-roading. Start hair tools, batteries, oil, and car care.
Automotive art is a place to start.
Last night I listened to your show. Some of the freaks were calling and asking the past Prime Minister some questions that I don't hear them asking of the present Prime Minister. Because the present Prime Minister is doing so much wrong in his position, in his seat. Look at a typical example. When he spoke about the St. Jude's Hospital, and he said that the St. Jude's Hospital, the entire project would have finished in 2028. He said he never said that. So we spewing lies and we saying that's not what that's what he said. I mean, a big man like you couldn't even go back and look at the tape to ensure that this thing you're gonna say now is exactly what you said on the day when you were getting the money. See, I mean, that's and you don't want people to call the man liar, but what he said there is a terminological inexactitude. Last night I listened to your show. Some of the freaks were calling and asking the past Prime Minister some questions that I don't hear them asking of the present Prime Minister. Because the present Prime Minister is doing so much wrong in his position, in his seat. Look at a typical example. When he spoke about the St. Jude's Hospital, and he said that the St. Jude's Hospital, the entire project would have finished in 2028. He said he never said that. So we spewing lies and we saying that's not what that's what he said. I mean, a big man like you couldn't even go back and look at the tape to ensure that this thing you were gonna say now is exactly what you said on the day when you were getting the money. See, I mean, that's and you don't want people to call the man liar, but what he said there is a terminological inexactitude.
Well, we introduced to that phrase yesterday by this caller who made a contribution to the broadcast. Terminological inexactitude, right? Terminological inexactitude, a phrase first used by the UK Prime Minister Winston Churchill in 1906. And it means a lie, untruth, terminological inexactitude. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, and that is 716-2026 as we continue our broadcast. Hello, good afternoon, you're on the air.
Hey, DP, what's up?
I'm okay, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah. When the guy got killed at the bus terminal in Passery, the bus stand, you said you got confirmation it was 54 homicides.
No, I did not say it was 54. Might have said a little less than that.
No, you said somebody just confirmed.
That was 54. Okay. Yeah. So that's why he said it's about 54 or 55 right now.
No, we had two stabbings since, one at Poleon and one at Monrepo. They did not die instantly. They died days after their injuries. And then we had the shooting at Cicero. But that's not what I got. You compared Bermuda to St. Lucia.
No, because the caller was saying that we have a significantly low number of homicides in Bermuda compared to St. Lucia. So looking at it from the perspective of the size of the territory, if it's 20 square miles, it is easier to police. If you have a population of a little over 60,000, easier to police as well.
That's exactly why I called it Antigua. Right, it's 108 square miles. But they have a population almost as big as St. Lucia. They recorded the third homicide last week. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
They recorded the third homicide last week. So it has nothing to do with the population or area. Right? It has a lot to do about the state of the country. The criminality involved in our state. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the size and population have nothing to do with it. It's just that we are right now living in a criminal society. Okay? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, and that is 716-2026. We have Mr. Bermuda online right now, so let's go over to Mr. Bermuda. So you see, sir, I kept my promise. You're on the air now.
Well, listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
You like give me go and drink. I don't drink it like I got to break the tap today. Let me tell you, Tim, just remember. You haven't told the people that Europe is actually telling solutions they must have a visa to enter.
That's what you forgot?
Including Martin.
Well, it's not a visa. It's not a visa. It's a new security arrangement that has been put in place. Where
and if you don't have that, you can't enter.
Yeah, it's a new security measure that has been put in place, sir. It's not a visa that is required. It is just that they'll do a deep background into a deep background check to determine whether you have committed certain crimes and so on. So on that basis, you'll be allowed permission into those territories. But it's not a visa.
They call it what you.
It is not a visa.
Call it what you like. I said, call it what you like. If you ain't got that, whatever that.
Because, for example, because Americans do not need a visa to travel to Europe, but they must meet certain requirements as far as this new arrangement is concerned when they want to travel to Europe.
But Bermuda's don't need a visa to go nowhere. And talk about Bermuda, Tim. Do you know that Dr. Kenny Anthony came to Bermuda before already?
And and that's news? That should be news?
Hold on. No, that's the news. That's the news, but let me elaborate. How can a man be so malport when he comes as a leader and coming to and see a country like Bermuda and go back home and have solution in that state? And especially if you fought south and the rest of villages, constituencies. That's the question I'm saying to you. That's the question I'm asking. And the reason why I'm saying that, the reason why Kenny Anthony and the communists, SFP, Mongoose gang, John B. government have no plans to develop country, to develop St. Lucia, because if they keep the people, the poorer they keep the people will vote for them, and it has been working for them. That's what they have been doing. Any development for St. Lucians, no. Keep them that way in slums. That's what they like. And that's how the SFP wins. And give them a little Roro, we can lock up Guy, we lock up Shaste, and that's enough to win the elections. You follow me? That's what I'm talking about. St. Lucians ain't got nothing about development in their brains, in their heads, in their feet, in their minds, nothing at all. SFP can only be in politics in St. Lucia. If they were in place like Barbados or Bermuda, the guys would be getting drunk off the head every day. And they're getting 10 votes. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't be in politics, Tim. I would ask your friend Mia Motley if the SFP would be in politics in Barbados. Tim, you ask Mia Motley if the SFP, with the nonsense they're doing, if they would be in politics in Barbados. Ask her that question and see what she tell you. She will say to you, hell no, are you crazy? Hell no, she will tell you. They will stand a chance. Not a chance.
Okay.
Because
thank you so much. Let's get another call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Tim.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon, Tim. Happy New Year, man.
Oh, Mr. Buffalo Odlam. Happy New Year to you, sir. Long time I haven't heard you on NewsSpin. How are you?
Happy birthday. Well, boy, fortunately for me, I listen every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's in your mind, sir?
Well, Tim, last week, a caller from the diaspora called concerning the colors she realized, or how interchangeable the colors are depending on which party is in power. You remember that call?
Yes, I can recall, yes.
Okay. Tim, last year, I noticed there was a company putting up red railing on the Chaussee Road, opposite the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
You're aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, so I accosted the guy and I asked, who would instruct him to put railings in red?
apart from the railings not even being, what should I say, of standard. But to make a long story short, it was the MP for Central Cass Street. Subsequent to that, I saw railings on the Calvary, railings in the vicinity of the Santa C School, railings in the vicinity of the Ave Maria School. So I made 2 calls. I called the Ministry of Infrastructure. The Ministry of Infrastructure have never sanctioned that. On the contrary, the Ministry of Infrastructure has a standard yellow that they actually, that has been approved. So Tim, let's go back to the color yellow, okay? The color yellow, as sanctioned by the International Safety Bureau, is the color of safety. And it's the reason, Tim, that you see yellow on safety vests, you see yellow on safety lines, you see yellow on signs, and you see yellow on streets. Now, Tim, in a storm, because of the process called refraction, that means the ability of a color to reflect light or to absorb light. Black will absorb light and heat. That is why a black garment is going to keep you hot.
Yeah.
And a lighter got right. Tim, in a fog, you do not see white. So hence, you do not put any safety handrail that one's supposed to see in white, because in a fog you will not see it. In red, in a storm, you will not see it. So it would have to take a day class A representative like Richard Frederick to make these decisions on behalf of this country. Now, Tim, I'm calling on the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Infrastructure, and the Prime Minister's office to inform Mr. Frederick to cease and desist from making those decisions. Tim, in a school area, a red railing means not to touch, do not approach. The reason why school buses are put in yellow, because from a psychological standpoint, children are supposed to veer towards yellow as a safe zone, as in the rubber ducky, as in Elmo, and it's all these things that I, Buffalo, or anybody has been ratified. That is an international standard. On the highways of the United States, England, and anywhere in the world, you will see the yellow for every aspect of safety. So if you go into Lucilec or you go into Buckeye, yes, which I'm a contractor to, any railing that is red, you are not supposed to touch. You are endangering yourself. Every railing that is made for pedestrian, which you are supposed to approach and touch, is in yellow. So tell Richard Frederick for me, yellow did not start under UWP, and red did not start under Labour. There's a process called refraction. That is why it is sanctioned by the International Safety Bureau. I am going to be reporting this situation to that bureau. I am going to be reporting St. Lucia. And if the Prime Minister does not step in and stop this madman from doing what he's doing, then this morning I went by the Methodist school and the guys have scraped off the yellow and under the instruction of the representatives put the railings in red and white. No child is supposed to be touching a red railing. In the dark, you will not see red. You will not even see white. The reason yellow is used is because anywhere there is light, the only color that will extract that light and reflect is yellow. That is why in a plane or in a train, when there is an emergency, yellow lights come on. Not white, not red, yellow. I'm calling on the Ministry of Education to step in. What Richard Frederick is doing is going against international law. It is going against international standards. And this is St. Lucia where we let anything happen, but this time it is not going to happen. I am going to be reporting this, and I'm asking the Prime Minister, this Richard Frederick is operating on behalf of the government for my children. No red should be on a school railing or in any vicinity where pedestrians use, because red means danger. And I've given a technical and scientific reason. Well, not I, the world has given that. The world. But Richard Frederick, as his character reflects, will go against it and put these things in red. I have informed them. I have spoken to the Ministry of Education. They know nothing about it. The Ministry of Infrastructure knows nothing about it, and has even went as far to show me the yellow that is recommended for these readings. So you see what is happening in this country, I think. And we stand by and we allow these little things to go. We allow these little things to go. And then we're talking about, when I have Mr. Bermuda and everybody and those else, whether you're pro or against the government, that this is what spurs the sophistication of a society. Thing. These little things we have to deal with. We have to deal with that before we deal with the crime. We have to deal with the carnage on our roads before we deal with the crime. Let's deal with the little things before we deal with the crime, Tim. And Tim, I'm looking at the whole political situation, and Tim, it's my opinion that we spinning top in mud. We spinning top in mud, Tim. Do you see an alternative to this government, Tim?
There has to be an alternative to anything.
There has to be an alternative.
There has to be an alternative. We should not be saying to ourselves that there is an alternative to a government, irrespective of which government that is in office. We have the human resource, we have the human capital, we have people who are capable. So otherwise, if we want a one-party state, which certainly is unacceptable, but
it's better we have a one-party state.
There are always alternatives to anything.
None of these parties are talking about the intellectual and sophistication of our existence. They were just talking about every government talks about building this hotel, building, and from an infrastructural standpoint, beat their chest. What about our intellect? What about our independent thinkers? Where are our independent professionals, Tim? What about this country that have so many closet commentators? Who have we been churning out from the University of the West Indies? Where are the young intellects? Where are these people to make the comments? Tim, let me tell you something. All's well that begins well, you know. Tim, as a former member, executive member and chairman of the United Workers' Party, let me just make a quick comment. Tim, the United Workers' Party, in the quest for whenever the next election is, Tim, you know how it has to begin? It has to begin with Alan Shastney and Guy Joseph apologizing to the members and supporters of the United Workers' Party. It has to start with an apology.
Apologize for what?
Before I judge you as a prime minister, I will judge you as a political leader. Then these two individuals supervised and oversaw the worst candidate selection process I've seen with the 21 years I spent in Flabo. I worked with 5 political leaders of the United Workers' Party. It has to start with an apology. Because, Tim, you have to listen to what the people say. Alan Shastney entered a battle, not like Zelensky, you know, like Hitler, because he had 4 to 5 of his constituency divided because they did not want the candidates that were proposed. Then we formed a candidate selection committee. Until half of these candidates the United Workers' Party put forward would have defaulted on the prerequisites and criterion that we recommended. Then we won in 2016. By early 2018, I knew we had lost Castries Central, not because of Richard Frederick, because of the non-performance of Sarah Flood-Brober, and the people had made that clear. And as in the case of Castries South and Mico North, it was made clear to the party. But you talk about a political leader who thinks he can give the candidate what he needs to win, rather than give the people the candidate they are asking for. It starts with an apology. You know, let me tell you, public opinion and perception forum is not saying so. People were of the opinion that Alan Shatley ran a corrupt government, which was part of the reason that the party lost. And you go into a convention, right? I'm looking at the person that was chosen as deputy political leader of the United Workers' Party. Tim, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
So Buffalo, let's talk about your party now, because I mean recently you did set up some process whereby you wanted to have your own political party, right? What has happened to this?
Well, Tim, what happened is that what I set up was this: together harnessing an integrated social society. Now, it began as a think tank, and I didn't want, when it mushroomed later down, for me to say, well, it was a party. So between the members who discussed as to whether we leave it as this or as this party, the decision was made to launch a political party. But what I launched was a think tank.
Okay.
We do meet, and we discussed a lot of these issues. Then I took over the chairmanship of the United Workers' Party from 2013 to 2016. And it was of my opinion that we should have submerged as a unit and reorganized. This is what I am doing. I'm talking to like-minded individuals, and there are not many. So let me tell you, most of my friends, I went to St. Mary's College and subsequent to that higher learning with. Then when it comes to the environment, to climate change, and most issues, they are very receptive to change. But when it comes to politics and political parties, in these same vibrant men, intellects, tell you, well, boy, there are only two parties. There's nothing we can do. Where are we going to get the money? So, we wallow and we are stationary thinking that there are only two political parties. And this is the reason we have failed society.
Okay. Well, no doubt we'll continue that conversation next week. I promise to call you so that we could have a discuss, okay? All right. You just heard there from Buffalo Odlum, and well-known St. Lucian individual and also political aspirant as well. Finally, our NewsSpin news of the day. Our NewsSpin news of the day. Dutch brewer Heineken sells its Russian operations for €1, taking a €300 million hit. Dutch brewer Heineken sells its Russian operations for €1, taking a €300 million hit. Our NewsSpin news of the day, and as a broadcast for today and this week. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube, our NewsSpin Facebook page. Thank you as well for listening on Power 97.9. We have the women's 200-meter finals taking place this afternoon, St. Lucia time, 3:40. That is 20 minutes before 2. And Julian Alfred will be among those vying for that top title, along with Jamaica's Sharika Jackson, as well as Gabriel Thomas of the U.S. So, once again, 3:40 this afternoon, the finals of the 200 meters in the World Athletics Championship. And Julian Alfred will be seeking to win that race. Wishing her all the best. Here's hoping to a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye.